and creating beyond calculation, beyond politics, beyond the big two. Welcome, Silverliners, to the wonderful world of Wednesday Wham. I'm your host, Dean Zachary. I'm joined by the loyal skeleton crew here and a special guest. We got a jam-packed show for you tonight. You're not wasting your time here. We're joined by Rob Davis, the Paragon of Pencils, Barbara J. Kailberg, the Empress of Inks. One of the Wizards of Words play is here, Scott Wakefield, and let's not forget the superior skeptic, Aaron Humphreys. And I'm actually going to hand it over to you, Scott. You've got some special announcements.
Thank you, Dean, for that wonderful introduction. Yes, we are joined by a very special guest. John is here with us. Hey, John.
How's it going?
He is here to announce and tell us about upcoming, less than 2 weeks, right?
10 days.
10 days from now, the Three Rivers Comic-Con in beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, just down the road from me. Close to my stomping grounds. I was born in Wheeling, so just over a few rivers.
I just drove through there today.
It's beautiful this time of year. Beautiful every time of year in the Ohio Valley.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to come down. And Roland, our head honcho, man about town, man's man, ladies' man, is going to be there. And my co-creator, Rory Boyle, is going to be there. And I think we've got another few Silverliners that are going to be there. But Silverline is going to be there, and we appreciate the invitation. But John, tell us, June 4th and 5th, what's the big word? What's going to be awesome? It's going to be awesome all the way around. But yeah, go for it,
dude. It's gonna be super awesome. Firstly, let me thank you guys for having me on the show. This is great. And secondly, I'm pretty sure I learned how to play your intro while it was playing on my guitar over there. Just so you know, I was like, this is really cool. In theory, I'm pretty sure I can do this. Anyway, yes, Three Rivers Comic-Con going into year 6, I believe. We started in 2016, and we are bringing comics back to Comic-Con. Like, it is a show about comics, about creators, publishers, vendors. Like, we don't do actors or celebrities like that. Not that we ever might not, but we just are still focused on where it all started, where the roots are. And we have like a fully loaded deck this year. We have guys like Howard Chaykin, Rick Leonardi, Ron Friends, Pat Olive. Oh my gosh. Daryl Banks, Maria Wolf, who just did her 60th Marvel cover with Spider-Man 900 coming out. Yeah, like so many great guys. Obviously, Scott and Roland are going to be there, so that's going to be great too. A late announcement was Joe Linsner's coming back. Him and his wife Christina are both going to be there. Yeah. And it's 2 days. It's June 4th and 5th. It's loaded with comics. There are over 120 like artist alley tables with all kinds of creators, from writers to letterers, inkers. Wayne Foucher, a big time inkers coming. And then the other half of the room is 90 vendor booths. I think there's 67 total vendors, and of that, about 40 of them are comic vendors. So lots of comics to buy in the room. CBCS will be there to drop off. That you can get your stuff signed. They'll witness it. You drop it off. They mail it back to you later. Graded. Done. Super easy.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It's going to be awesome. We have a ton of cosplay stuff too. We have panels. So all 6 of the guys that worked on different Spider-Man books are going to do one big panel together. Cool. So yeah, Brett Breeden is coming. He's another big inker and colorist. Oh man, there's just so many. Like, I'm gonna be just like, I forgot to mention that guy. I forgot to mention that guy. But you can check everything out on our website, threeriverscomiccon.com. Tickets start for adults at $13, and they go up to $85 if you get the super VIP, which basically means you get to walk away with like 10 cans of custom beer that have a bunch of different labels from artists that we've done through the years.
Very cool.
And you get some variants from the Three Rivers booth, courtesy of Source Point Press and Aftershock, who will both be set up at the show, by the way.
Cool. Fantastic. Cool. It is Three Rivers Comiccon.com, the number 3 Rivers Comiccon.com. People can find out everything they want to know, need to know at the website. You guys are also on Facebook, And let's see. I'm going to click through some stuff here. I think you're sharing my screen.
Yeah,
Hi.
it's Facebook,
Yep.
Twitter,
Yep.
and Instagram. So, yep, there's me and the Kingpin.
Yeah.
The Kingpin
Very
returns this year. He is actually one of our sponsors. He is he runs a insurance. He's an insurance agent, and they sponsor our show. They buy a booth. They all come in cosplay. So he
That's
came
awesome.
as
Oh wow.
Kingpin, and then his partner last time came as Foggy Nelson. So
Very cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Digging through the boxes. Got a
Oh,
good
yeah.
crowd there. The crowd. Let's see. Oh yeah, people packing in.
Yep. Now
Good
these
stuff.
pictures would have all been from we had the first 3 shows in an old mall and an old department store, which is the ones with the red floor, like this one. And then there's a couple that like where the Kingpin was in that we did in an old Macy's at a different mall. But this year we're moving it downtown to the convention center, right on the river, right across from PNC Park. Arts Fest is going on at the same time. It's going to be crazy. So
It sounds
Excellent.
awesome. Yeah,
Oh,
I was there last year. It was kind of a last minute decision on my part. You guys had to do it outside because of COVID and all that. I know that was kind of a pain for you guys. You were great about getting out all the updates out there and trying to update with okay, now there's a new requirement, all this sort of stuff. But it was a great time there. A lot of great people. Let's see, Dean. I'm going to see if I can. Can you see if I can share another? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here and then try
There
to
you
share another tab here. So there's a few more
Sure.
pictures that John sent us. And let's see.
John, can you share with us the approximate attendance of
Yeah.
the show?
That was going to be my question.
Yep.
We're always
That's a good
curious
question.
about that.
So
Yeah.
in the obviously we've never done it in the big building until this year.
Right.
The last year that we had it inside, we had around 3,000 people, and that was our 4th year. And then, oh yeah, we can talk about that art in a little bit. That's actually kind of
That's really cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
So, but we are expecting somewhere between like 4,000 and 5,000 people this year.
Oh wow. Okay.
They say that your pre-sale tickets are 10% of your attendance, and right now we're sitting around 600. So I'm still aiming a little low because I want to make sure that we don't overshoot it,
Sure.
and then we feel excited when like 10,000 people show up.
Yeah.
But it'll be a lot of fun. So
Oh yeah.
and some of the art you see, like the cosplayers there, like they're going to be there different days, but the photographer who took those photos is also going to be there shooting those cosplay
That's cool.
artists as well. Yeah.
So all the aspiring cosplay stars need to come to the show
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
get photographed and get some exposure. That's what you
Absolutely.
wanna do, right?
Absolutely.
Good deal. Good deal. What's what do you see most? I'm very curious when you have cosplay folks. What characters do you see over and over again? It's different every year.
It is.
And,
It is
and
very
what,
different every year.
Talk to us about who you're seeing a lot of.
Real quick, that's the variant from Astronaut Down from Aftershock. All of
Oh,
our
wow.
VIPs will get that until we run out. So the first 200 VIPs will get that for free. And
Very nice.
that's Pat Olive art, and James Patrick wrote the book. That book actually hits the shelf next Wednesday, and
Oh, wow.
both Pat and James will be at the show.
Fantastic.
All right,
Very
so
cool.
going back to your question about cosplay.
Yes.
Right now, we see a lot of Loki. We see a lot of Black Widow versions of Black Widow. A lot of Doctor Stranges.
Mhm.
And then after that, it's a mixed bag. Like there's still like the Doctor Who like diehards that come out with like the
Oh, yeah.
David Tennant style.
Sure.
Which is my favorite Doctor, so that's cool for me.
Mhm.
And then we have, like you'll get a random Batman, you'll get a horror like Jason Voorhees type guy.
Right.
It's all over the place. Like we have the Pittsburgh Avengers are going to be there, and they're a cosplay group that do just Marvel Avengers. But
Nice.
and then we have the 501st, who are like the Star Wars guys. We have
Oh,
a
yeah.
Star
yeah.
Trek group. That's going to have like a full-on working like a console that you can sit at. That's very like
Nice.
That's cool.
next
Oh wow.
like original series style console. We have the Pittsburgh Iron Man, and she has a black and gold Iron Man with the chess pieces are changeable to the different Pittsburgh teams, which is cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Other than that, I mean, it's like a mixed bag. Like, you know, you're probably gonna see a Wonder Woman. You're probably gonna see a Deadpool. You know, I imagine we'll see a Moon Knight.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody had a whole extra year to make all these new costumes, and that's really what they did. So yeah. So
yeah, cool.
So this poster is kind of cool. I don't know if you guys know, but like 3 years ago, a Port Authority bus fell in a sinkhole. Right.
Oh my goodness.
Right, and that happened right in front of the convention center.
Okay. All right.
So in 2019, when we were originally going to go down there for 2020, I came up with this idea while I was sitting in the restaurant in front of the sinkhole, and
wow.
And so I told my boss, I'm like, hey, I really want to do this. I think it'd be cool to do like an Action 1 homage. And he's like, all right, well, go run with it. And I'm like, all right. So I called Howard Bender, who used to work for Marvel and DC. He worked on Action Comics back in the 80s. And then he worked for Archie and did a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, so I pitched it to him and he sent me like 6 or 7 ideas. And this was the one I really liked. And then I sent it to a colorist named Andrew Harmon, who lives kind of North Pittsburgh. Howard lives South Pittsburgh. And then, so he colored it. And he's done work for like IDW, doing some color work. And then the lettering on top is done by a friend of mine from Wheeling, who has worked for pretty much everybody but Marvel, named Justin Birch. So 3 guys from Pittsburgh put this together for me.
That's cool.
Out of my idea. And, it's kind of cool. I'm going to set them all by each other at the show. So if you have this poster or one of our flyer cards, you can just get them all signed. And you can buy a shirt with that on it at the show too. So
that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, just a little aside and a little information. You mentioned the 501 earlier.
501st. It is specifically the 501st.
The 501st. So here's what's interesting about that. I didn't realize this, but I was fortunate enough to be asked to pencil a Star Wars book back in the day. And they contacted me and invited me to become an honorary member. And one of the perks as an artist who's a member of the 501st is you can contact them within a reasonable advance notice time, and they will escort you at a convention.
That's awesome.
How cool is that, right?
That's real awesome.
So I'm holding on to that card. So one day, guys, you're going to see him escorting me into a show, so you'll know how that came about. But anyway, little story about the 501st. Cool. They're a cool group of guys.
They're a lot of fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
John, what was your? I don't want to keep you all night. What was your decision? You mentioned right at the beginning about keeping it comics focused, and what was the thought process or the reason behind that for Three Rivers?
Well, there's a couple things. So, firstly, there used to be a very established Pittsburgh Comic-Con, and it ran for I think 20 years, something like that, 25 years, and then it sold to Wizard World, and when that happened, it shifted from mostly comics with a couple actors, like maybe 5 actors, to like 30 actors and like 10 artists. And we were like, this is not going to work. And then, and you know, and they did try. I'm not going to say it. I had fun at the show because I actually went. And then there's a couple other shows in the area that focus more on celebrity ends than they do creators. So we just kind of went, well, there's our niche. Like nobody else is doing that. You know, Pittsburgh Comic-Con did very well with that part. That was the part that we all loved from it. We know a lot of these guys and we support all these guys literally every day. So why would we not want to push that end? And we're very good friends with like the guys that run like Gem City and Dayton and Baltimore and Heroes Con, and all those shows do similar stuff too, like where it's very comic focused and creator focused. So we kind of like my ultimate goal would be to grow this show to be kind of like the sibling show to one of those, to like the little brother for Baltimore. Because every time I go there, I have an absolute blast, and Mark and his crew put on a great show down there. So
well, it sounds like it really sounds like you guys have been growing and growing and growing, and it just like you said, 6+ years, roughly 6 years.
Yeah.
It sounds like, and this is amazing. I'm looking at the exhibitor list and everything you've got going on at threeriverscomiccon.com, and it looks outrageous. And I'm super excited. And this guy over here, that's Rory. He's going to be there too. So look for that beard.
Oh, awesome.
Look for all that manliness.
Nice.
He'll be there too, coming from the other side of the Ohio in Ohio.
Actual Ohio.
Actual
Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio
so this is exciting.
And some more background though. Like we actually, if you guys don't also know, like we also are New Dimension Comics. That's our parent company, and we have 6 stores in the area. So, like I said, I literally drove through Wheeling today because we have a store in St. Clairsville. So I drove 70 across and back up. So and when I was emailing you earlier, it was literally from St. Clair.
From St. Clair, yeah. I have a reunion in Moundsville every year. We go up. We used to go up to the mall, but now we go to the to Triadelphia, to the Cabela's.
Yeah.
To the theater up there. I haven't been to St. Clairsville in a while, but yes, I was raised on the shores of the Ohio, and on the brown, slow-moving shores of the Ohio.
Real Ohio, right across the river. You can
I love
see
it.
You have to drive a little further west on 70 to get to me.
Rob, just keep going, and we can wave to Barb somewhere out there.
On the way.
And we haven't forgotten about Barb. We're going to get to her inks, but yeah, John, Roland calls us all Yankees. He says, I think Pittsburgh is the farthest north he's ever been. I'm going to buy him. I'm going to buy a sandwich.
For Manny's.
From Manny's. Yep. And he's going to get the coleslaw
better.
I can't wait.
He's going to love it.
You're literally walking distance from the original one at the convention center. You're like
3
blocks. Just right there in the strip.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For me.
That sounded better.
I love it.
It's so good. Scott and I went there last time we went. Rory drove from Ohio up to Buffalo, got me, and we drove down to Pittsburgh and spent the day there. So it was a great trip, and it was a great show last year. Yeah, given the limitations with what you had to deal with outdoors, but it was fantastic. I don't want to cut you short, John. We really appreciate you being here. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say. If we've got any last-minute questions for our crew here, but it's threeriverscomiccon.com. You guys are on Facebook and all the socials. Folks, go out and get your tickets. Tell your friends. Make sure you go on and say you're going to be there, and so people see it on Facebook and they know. And invite everybody. Come see the Silverline crew. Come see. You have a outrageous list of exhibitors and vendors and comic creators. Come see the indie world is huge, and they're going to be there at Three Rivers, and they are really making this an awesome comic book convention. So any last minute thoughts from our panel here?
Just for me, just make sure you guys follow us on social media. It's just at and then 3 Rivers Comic Con. It's Comic Get your comic on.
Yes.
Comic on. Easy way to remember.
Very nice. Very nice.
I love it.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, Dean, we good? I don't want to cut anybody short, but
we're all
keep
good.
John all night, and
we're
we're going to move on to inks. I mean, John, you're welcome to hang around, but Barb is going to impress us with her empressness of inkiness, and she's got a long list of titles to her name too.
I would, but terribly, my dog literally just peed on the floor beside me. So
Nice.
I'm gonna go clean that up. Good time, great hanging out with you
And
guys.
ate your homework while he was there.
Yeah. You're welcome back anytime, John.
Awesome. I'll see you guys in a couple
Thanks for your
weeks,
time.
and thanks
See
for
you, John.
guys.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Good night.
Good night. Wow, that was fun. You know,
I can't wait.
What a nice guy, and that sounds like a cool con. And don't be afraid of the Yankees. All you Southern guys, go up there, do it. They won't hurt you. Go on up.
Pittsburgh really is a cool city if you've ever driven there, because you go through tunnels, and that it's a really neat city, and it's I like the old. I know it's kind of silly to say, but Cleveland,
Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
Buffalo, that kind of Rust
Mhm.
Belt old.
Sure.
Got some serious character.
Yeah, it really
A lot
does.
of
And-
character, a lot
Yep.
of character, and a lot of characters.
Yes.
as I
Oh,
understand it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, there's that.
but that being said, speaking of characters, we have one
biggest
of
character of
the
all.
yeah, that's right, one of the best inkers in the business, in my humble opinion, right here with us every week. And tonight, she's going to grace us with her wisdom and experience and share with us a lot of her process of doing what she does. Barbara Kailberg has been in this business for over 30 years and has worked for all the major companies, over a lot of talented guys, and made them look better. She certainly made my work look better. And we're going to find out how she does it tonight. Barb, I understand you've got some demos for us, some pre-recorded that you're going to guide us through, and we're looking forward to it. So take it away. What you got?
Well, I've recently in the last couple of years, I've gotten into digital inking. And this has helped me in two regards. One thing that it has helped me with is, I hate to admit this, but I am aging. I'm in my 60s, and
Those are
my
30s aren't bad.
yeah,
Better
and
with
my-
wine, like fine
Yeah.
wine. Just get better.
and my hand isn't as steady as it used to be. So I have found that digital inking is a great way to circumvent that, because you can set your stabilizing parameters on inking to smooth the line out. So it takes away that handicap. And the other thing that is that it speeds my process up. I'm a very meticulous inker. And when doing it old school, and I love old school, don't get me wrong. I love old school, but it's much slower for me because I'm very, very anal about my line placement. And if I have to break a line, then I'm coming up to the point where I want to break it, and then I go and I jump over it, and I continue. I don't like whiteout on my originals. I hate whiteout on my originals.
Yeah.
So I'm going to delve a little bit into my digital inking process tonight, and I apologize that this is on pre-recorded. And we're going to try this because I'm not even certain that it's going to work. But I use an iPad, and it cannot share screen. So we are going to share my screen on my laptop here and do this. And if you have any questions, just ask me, and I will pause the video and and I'll answer that. There we go.
So this is a project you're currently working on that we're going to see, Barb, or is this something?
Yes. Is
Okay,
it
good.
sharing?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
All
We'll get there.
right.
And these are digital inks that we're going to be
Yes.
watching. Okay.
While
You prefer that?
I was gonna say while Barb's doing that,
Yeah.
I was gonna compliment her inking. A lot of times I notice in this, I feel like sometimes when things go from pencils to inks, there's a lot lost. And I when you look at I know you can't just stay with the pencils, but Barb has a really, really good knack, a really good skill. I mean, it's a skill to accentuate what the penciler has done. And I wish more people could see the process, which is kind of cool that when people watch our shows here and all of our Silverline fans out there who are part of this, we do show a lot of the process. That's what we talk about. And it's really cool to see it go from thumbnails to a complete book, and hopefully get it, they get it in their hot little hands. That's an infinity of, we're going forever.
Yes, that's kind of a cool effect.
But our inkers do a great job, a really great job of adding to the pencils and not detracting and making it look, it goes from, it always has the potential to get less interesting. I don't know, that's not the right word, to be dumbed down.
The life is taken out of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Where
life's
the
taken out
pencils
of it.
can be free and beautiful, and there's a challenge going from that kind of solidifying things.
Yeah, and then
And-
she also does it without overpowering
Right.
what she's done too.
Right.
You see a lot of inkers, and you go, I recognize that guy's stuff, but who did he ink,
Right.
or who did she ink? You know,
Right.
because
Are you
they've
seeing-
overpowered what's there.
I'm guessing you're not seeing what I'm seeing.
No.
Let's see. No, not yet. Let's try here. Okay. Are you sharing?
I am sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing the Infinity stuff.
Yeah.
One thing
Right.
about Barb's inks I'll discuss while we work on that is her ability to enhance the pencils that are there without reimagining them, to use a
Right.
modern phrase,
Right.
because people follow an artist primarily because of their vision, and there are inkers who are less skilled than Barb who can misinterpret things. Now, a lot of times, admittedly, it's the penciler's fault for not being as exact and as clear as the penciler could be. But then
That's
a lot
not
of
what
times,
you told me when I inked your stuff.
yeah, well, that's a long story for another day, my friend. But what Barb does is she has this unique ability to second guess the person that she's inking, especially if she's inked over them before, the styles are similar, etc. And she can anticipate what you mean, even if the scan may not be particularly clear on that particular page, or maybe a little wispy, or the lines may be a little light. So she's really good at that, and
Okay,
that's
let's
why
try this again.
we appreciate her so much. But the deal is, if you watch her, I've watched her ink, and it's amazing to watch, especially old style analog. To watch any inker work analog, we've seen Rob do it. It's just that confidence of slinging ink, and it's permanent, and you can't just delete the layer. But to know what you're doing to that degree is impressive, because as pencilers, we can erase, and it's a lot harder for her to fix something. She has to deal with either whiteout, which admittedly she hates, and
Yes.
Well,
I am
Get
not
us
having
Christmas.
any luck on sharing my video with you guys. I don't know what the deal
Okay.
is, but we
Okay.
can discuss other things.
We can talk.
We
Uh,
can.
Yes.
It'll be all theory.
Yes.
yeah, it will be theory,
Which is
We're good.
fine.
We're good at
That's
talking.
fine.
Sure.
I have found that I love working in Procreate. Procreate is my go-to program. It's basically Photoshop for dummies. You can't really go wrong with it. You have to have an initial outlay of money, which is the iPad and the iPencil. So you're looking at a $1,200 outlay
Mhm.
to begin with, but that also gives you a comprehensive, a tablet, that you can do pretty much anything on, talk on the phone, and everything a computer can do. So you're basically buying a handheld computer. The Procreate program itself is $10.
Yeah.
It's a one-time purchase. It's an app, and it does everything that you could possibly want it to do, as far as I'm concerned. The only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't separate your line art from the background. But I use another free app
You can't do layers.
to
you
do
mean?
that.
Oh, you can do layers.
No, I can do layers. No, I can't
then why
separate the
would it
line
not?
art.
You
Right.
can't
I
do
can't separate the
channels.
line art.
You can't do
Oh,
channels.
channels. Okay. So you're talking about selections. Okay.
Yeah. Scott brings up a great point. Fruit Bat says it also depends on the penciler. Are they tight or loose? And is the inker
Yeah.
an embellisher or an enhancer? What would you say you are, Barb?
Both.
Yeah.
Depends on the project, right?
And in very rare occasions, I'm a tracer.
Well,
I
sure.
don't say that very loud. It depends on how tight the pencils are.
Yeah.
You can
So you finally
almost-
admit it.
Yeah, you can
Finally
always
admit it,
find
you know.
something to enhance the pencils.
Right.
Sure.
There's almost no situation at all where you can't enhance the pencils, no matter how tightly they're done. It's either by adding line weight or texturing or something like that. So, enhancing, yes.
What about your content? Like that obviously determines the brushes you use, and with the field of brushes offered by digital brushes, what and what do you like to tackle first? I for one, when I'm fresh sitting down to a page, I want to do the detail work on faces and hands and things that are more challenging right at the beginning, and then as fatigue sets in later in the day, I'm doing backgrounds. How do you approach
That
a
explains a
page?
lot, Dean.
Yeah, I figured it did.
Like, where are they at?
What is this now? Where are they?
He blacked out that whole building.
I know, that
it's
explains
in shadow.
it.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah. How do you approach it, Barb? Do you start with the faces? Do you just start at the top and go to the bottom? How do you work?
Back in the day, I used to start at the far right-hand corner, the bottom, and work my way. Nobody's getting murdered, I swear to God.
It's grandkids. It's grandkids.
Yeah,
we know.
It's grandkids.
Does somebody see some of my artwork or something? That happens a lot when they see it.
Yeah.
The screen.
I'm trying to do that here and talk to you at the same time.
Oh, no worries. No worries. I think what Barb's going to try to do is share some images either with you, Scott, or with Aaron, either one of you. And maybe you guys can get it to come up on screen. But I would imagine that.
What's in it for me?
Maybe a case of beer. Let's see. So what I used to do when I'd work in ink my own analog style, which was not always successful, is I would start on the left because I'm right-handed and then work to the right to prevent smudging and so on. So there was a mechanical, practical reason for that.
You're proper-handed.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my reason was that I wouldn't smudge my pencils. That's why I started at the bottom right, and I worked up to the top left because I would run over the pencils.
Would you find that that's awkward sometimes? Like, do you have to form that muscle memory to get like the right angles, or do you just flip the paper around?
My paper flips like mad. You wouldn't believe how fast my nit flips. It goes like crazy.
Well, one reason for that, Rory, is that if we're doing parallel hatching and you want uniform hatching, right, it's going to be easier for both the penciler and the inker if they have a certain motion that's comfortable rather than to turn their arm a certain way. So you just spin the paper to accommodate that natural motion of your hand. Or, the way Tommy does it, he just, works all night, never sleeps, and it just kind of comes. Let's see. He says, I normally do the backgrounds first, sets the page, kind of lets me know how to build the characters. Oh, okay. Is that analog? That's interesting. Or digital. He usually does digital now, I think. But if you had a lot of ink on the paper, a lot of darks and shadows, I would imagine analog you'd get a little nervous about smudging and smearing. So I would always save the heavy shadowed areas for the last.
Well, that was only if I cared about the penciler.
True. And we can tell when you don't care. That's just
no. I never.
That's most of the time, isn't it?
Yeah. Most of the time.
That's the way it works. Yeah. Wow.
That's why I embellish your characters.
Yes.
Quotation marks.
Cue the screaming kid.
Check your messages, Dean.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I will do so. Let's see here. Yes. I see some stuff here. Okay. So when you start, Barb, a page, how long does it take you usually to, I know it depends on the content, obviously, but if you were to say an average page takes you how long to complete?
Back when I was working against deadline for Marvel or DC, I would do 2 pages a day, which is kind of insane. Yeah,
That
but
is
I
really
worked long
fast.
days. I would work like a 16-hour day. So an 8-hour,
Yeah.
8 hours a day for a page. But I couldn't turn down the work, so
Oh yeah.
I made it
Of course.
I made it work.
Of course.
These days I can take my time. Digital inking speeds me up quite a bit because you have the ability to erase and backspace. One of my favorite techniques is that I use layers when I'm inking. Say I'm doing hair and I make a bunch of lines doing the hair, and then I have some more lines going in a different direction for the hair. I can go back to one of my layers and erase the lines that are going through lines I don't want them to go through. Oh, that doesn't make any sense, I know. But
Oh, makes perfect sense.
No,
I got it.
I know what you're
I got
saying.
I take the
know what you're
opacity.
talking about.
I take
Do
the
you-
opacity down so that I can see what the blue lines
Right.
underneath look like, and then I can erase what I want to off the inks. That's a huge thing for me.
Explain to folks who may not be aware about blue lines and what we're talking about
Yeah.
there.
All right, well, here. That's blue lines. Okay.
Let me see. Let me bring it up here. So yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
that's
Hey,
blue
that
lines.
looks familiar.
That
Hey.
does look familiar, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
my
it's
original
not-
design.
Now, back in the old days when we were still doing printing, not digital, this was non-repro blue.
Mhm.
So we could ink
Yeah.
over it, and it would scan, and the blue wouldn't show up. Nowadays, what happens is, and it took me a while to get used to this whole thing with not working on originals, is the pencils come through on a digital file, and they look just like pencils, gray and everything like that. I will download the pencils, and then I will do a color balance change to change the gray pencils to blue. And then I will take the opacity down about 50%, and then put a layer on top of that, and then ink over that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Now, if
Very
I'm
cool.
working on originals and it comes blue lines, or it doesn't, the file comes to me on the computer, and I will change it to blue lines on the computer with a color balance, and I will print it out on a Brother Pro printer on 11 by 17, 500-pound Strathmore
There you
Mhm.
go.
cold press. The Brother Pro will actually handle that thickness of
Mhm.
paper. I don't
Mhm.
think there are hardly any other printers out there that, number one, print 11 by 17, and number
Right.
two, can handle that thickness of paper.
And I
So-
have one of those myself. They're great.
Yep, I love it.
Scanner.
Love it.
It just scans in too.
In fact, I can actually hang on a second.
I think Scott, you've got some images there
gosh.
that you could
I do.
possibly share with us.
Whose is this, Aaron?
No.
Wow!
Look at that.
Wow!
What
Look at
dork
that.
drew that?
I don't know, man.
Is that blue line? Did you put
Yeah.
that in blue line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
You just
I never
explained
tried.
how she-
Every time I draw it
she
in
did that,
blue
yeah.
line or try to do it, it always shows up. I gave up a long time ago.
So,
Yeah.
well, this
I never
came out
seen
a little too dark. That's why
Yeah.
I never inked this one. But I print it out in blue line, and then I ink over this, and then I scan it back into the computer, and I do a threshold on it so that the light blue completely drops out, and what's left is just the black line, because you're doing a threshold on the density of the color.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so all the light blue will drop out and just leave the black behind. And that's what we clean it up a bit. And my hubby cleans it up a bit and fills in any blacks I forgot. And then we send it off to the publisher.
That's pretty handy too, because I found when I worked with blue pencil that it's kind of waxy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you couldn't get the ink to stick.
No, yeah, exactly.
So,
I don't
yeah,
like actual blue lines. I like
No.
to print it
Yeah,
out on the
that's what
Brother
I
Pro.
tried to
Yep.
do.
Did you
I
figure
just-
out how to share those?
Yeah.
Yeah,
See?
it's kind of
We're
waxy
working-
and it won't.
We're
yeah.
working on it.
Should be there. Got it?
Yes, I do indeed.
All right.
Let's
We got
do
two
this.
images here.
Oh yeah, let's go full on this.
Now
Oh
that's
wow, nice.
that's from the upcoming issue number 3 of
Talk to us
Divinity.
about like your approach to that, because you've got some technology, you've got organics with the coat
Yeah.
and the characters, and you've even got like a hologram indicated there. Is that originally done like on a separate layer for a color hold so
Yep,
that it can?
sure is.
Okay. All right.
And I can actually shoot that to you.
Okay. All right. It's interesting. Go ahead.
The really nice thing about coloring my own work is I know as I'm inking what I want to do.
Yeah.
So in this case, I did the guy that's actually in a hologram. I did him separately on a separate layer and shot that, separated the lines and colored that separately, and then overlaid it onto the regular page. So as you're going to see, I shot you the finished product.
Okay.
I was able
All
to,
right.
because you got to
See
be
that.
able to see some lines behind him. So it would be really, really hard just to pick out his lines as opposed to what you can see through him.
Yes. Very cool. Very
So
cool.
you
We'll
had-
be
I
seeing
actually-
that shortly.
Yeah, I actually had to do that on separate layers. This is, oh gosh, this looks like Dean Zachary.
It is indeed.
Yes, this is one of my favorite pieces. Actually, this is going to be framed and on my studio wall. I have the
Oh,
original,
I'm complimented.
along with one of Kevin West's pieces and one of Mel Ruby's pieces. So you are in good company.
I am indeed. I'm indeed. Now, okay, when you started this piece, like, do you remember, like, what did you approach first? Now, this was back in the analog time, right? On this particular one?
Yes,
Okay.
this is old school. I did the building first because that was the most fiddly piece of it. I just wanted to get it out of the way.
Okay.
So yeah, I usually try to tackle what I hate the most and get it out of the way, and then have fun.
Yeah. That's the
the
way
way
to
it
go.
works.
That's the way to go.
You
You treat yourself with the good stuff.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Yes, indeed. I also sent over Scott the hologram shot, if you can share, which is really
watch my
Am
screen.
I supposed to be sending
Gonna
you
see our
Scott?
conversation.
That's secret.
yeah, because I have the same issue that you do with. Oh yeah, see
Very
that? See how
cool.
cool that looks as a
Yeah.
finished piece.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
see, those are my
Yes.
colors
Very
as well.
I figured. Yeah, very nice.
That's very nice. Very nice.
Nice interplay between that orange in
Yeah,
the
that's really
background and
cool.
that blue. That really makes
it-
things pop.
So when you,
Yeah.
what about when pencilers don't draw in the light source? This has an obvious centralized light source. You knew where the cast shadows were. You knew how to render it. Are you to the point? I'm sure you are now, to the point where you can. Okay, I've got to throw a light source in here somewhere. This looks too flat. Do you add that, or do you just go, well, he didn't put a light source, so I'm just going to ink it the way it looks? How do you approach that, Barb?
Well, again, it's my own book. So
Right.
I know what time of the day it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I will throw the light source appropriately if it's not there. And I've had to change, I've changed things. I also have digitally, I'm able to fix things that I notice are incorrect. For instance, the current pages I'm working on right now are supposed to be taking place in New Jersey, on the Turnpike or roads in New Jersey. And everybody on the Eastern Seaboard knows that the East Coast is rolling and wooded. Correct? Am I correct?
Correct.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Mostly.
My penciler, however, is from Chihuahua, Mexico.
Chihuahua.
And when
Chihuahua.
when the pencils arrived, it was a desert scene. I'm like, okay.
All righty.
Oh my. Okay.
Fortunately, I decided I wasn't going to ink the background because I wanted the background to fade a bit. So I knew since I was going to be coloring it, I have these stamps. These
I knew it.
yeah.
Cheating.
Yep, cheating. Oh, you
Yeah, but
betcha.
that's okay. That is okay. I do it
That
too.
is okay for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
So I used tree stamps, colored tree stamps. I mean, I colored them and made it work. So I turned a desert scene, and I will shoot you one of these as well.
Mhm.
I turned a desert scene into a tree lined with stamps, with digital stamps.
Wow.
And I love them. It's a great cheat. I know.
I mean,
Hey,
you got to do what you got to do here.
that's right. I mean, we all do it. It's part of the game. It was
See, those
especially
are-
part of the game when we had deadlines to meet.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's
Strict
awesome.
deadlines.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single tree on that entire thing when I
Oh,
started.
man.
And
That
I
looks awesome. Though. Sells it. Yeah.
yeah, I added them all with
Yeah.
stamps. I have, and I mean, if you want these stamps and if you want different brushes for Procreate or any other digital program, all you have to do is Google.
Oh, that's
And
true.
you can giggle.
You can giggle all you
too,
want.
if you want.
You can giggle while you Google.
You can giggle if you want to.
Just Google free Procreate brushes to start with.
Find
And
some.
then if you're looking for something specific, Etsy is a great place to find brushes because there's all kinds of creative people creating their own brushes
Mhm.
on Etsy all the time. I have bought a lot of brushes off of Etsy. My
Yeah,
favorite ink brushes, I shot Dean a list of them. They
Oh,
are
I bought 'em.
free. Yeah. Some
I
of them
bought
are
'em
free
right
and some
off.
of them I'll purchase. And I purchase stamps that are I've done stamps. I've bought stamps that are cityscapes,
Mhm.
plants, trees, foliage.
It
You know,
smells
anything
foliage.
yeah, foliage.
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 Yep.
I just
Yeah,
go to
well,
the
in
go to the library every
New
once in
Jersey,
a while.
Yeah,
Library.
I'm gonna go nuclear on you, Barb.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
also
goodness.
tracked down stipples and
Uh-huh.
zips.
Are we allowed to talk about
Because
that?
what?
We are
Stipples and
indeed.
zips?
Stop! What?
We are indeed.
Barb.
Ooh,
Barb.
gonna get us kicked off again.
Look at the work here. I just want to brag on her a bit. We've got this forced perspective shot of a character looking down the stone steps, in this underground labyrinth. And what was cool about it was Barb knew exactly what I wanted to do here, which was draw just enough of the stones to give you the impression of the environment, but leave it open around the figure to keep clarity, right? So, and then she did such a great job in that frame right above that as he's sliding underneath a falling gate. I really spent some time trying to get some motion out of that shot. And what was cool about Barbara, she immediately got that and translated it perfectly. So just bragging on her a bit here. But what are some of the challenges with inking certain pencilers? I mean, you can use me as your subject and beat up my pencils a bit if you want. I know Aaron will enjoy that. So
Your
Now,
pencils
Dean,
are
everything I say to you is said out of love. You know that.
oh yeah, I do know that.
Yeah.
Sure.
your pencils are very sketchy, and so
Mhm.
like shading, you have pencil shading, and so as an inker, I have to interpret and decide how I am going to realize
Render
yeah,
it.
Mhm.
render
Yeah, render it.
your dream of those shadings and shadowings
Mhm.
into black and white work.
Yeah.
So sometimes
tough.
it's cross hatching, sometimes
Mhm.
it's stippling, sometimes I just ignore it altogether.
Sure. Why not?
Because I mean some of the sketches that I turned into posters or prints of yours started out as convention sketches, and rightly so. They were very highly rendered with shadows and shading and graphite shadings and stuff like that. And I had to turn that into an pen and ink. So that's always a challenge. I think probably my most challenging penciler of all time, I would have to say, was Carmine Infantino.
Oh, that's a legend. Tell us a little bit about, for those who may not know who that is, give us a little quick 2-sentence bio and then talk to us about it.
Oh boy, Carmine is a legend, one of the great old timers in did he ever work for Marvel, or was he always
I don't think so.
I think he was mostly DC. Yeah.
I don't think he ever worked at Marvel, although I could be wrong there.
Yeah, he did like the Flash and a lot of Flash work. And his stuff was very distinctive. Everybody thinks that Jack Kirby has a distinctive style. Well, Carmine has an equally distinctive style.
He does. Yep, he did.
Yeah, he did like Airboy and Black Canary. He was also an editor with Julius Schwartz. If Penciler doesn't provide a light source, then who gets to make that choice, inker or colorist?
Good question.
Inker.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, generally, because you've got to black in or at least crosshatch or something. Otherwise, you're just making a coloring book.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to take this moment to say something here about that. A lot of books today are just outlined coloring books, and they really let the colorist take over the volume, the creation of volume. We were limited when we started, Barb, because of color process. The colors are pretty flat, so we had to create volume with hatching as pencilers, and that's part of the reason the hatching style is so associated with 70s, 80s, and 90s work, is that's how we gave the images volume primarily. I have a piece up that's very rare for you guys to see. This is one of Barb's pieces over me in progress from Cat and Mouse #2. So you get to see the pencils there. Talk a little bit about this piece, Barb, as folks look at it.
Yeah, come on, talk to me, Goose.
Talk to me.
I actually really, really love organic pieces. I looked at this and I wanted to throw a bit more texture into the solid black of the tree. Yeah. So as you can see, there's that. Yeah, he had it as a solid black behind the figure, and I threw in some bits and pieces of white. Yeah, see.
If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Yes, Baba Wawa.
see how she kept everything there, but enhanced. Like it's definitely true to the pencils. Completely.
The foliage and the grass. I really like working organic. I would have loved to have worked on something like Conan or Tarzan. Or
how fun would that have been, right?
Or Khazar or something like that, where it's all in the jungle, because it's a lot more free. I'm so anal with my inks that actually when I get to work on outdoors, it's actually freeing. I feel like I'm just, doodling then.
Right. This next one that I'm going to share with Scott so he can share it with everyone is one of my favorite pages I did for Cat and Mouse. And,
while you're doing that, I'm going to go back to Carmine.
Dean, you got to be careful. People are going to see our conversations and your gifts that you send me. Whoops, did I scroll all out there?
That's part of it. That's part of it, man.
We're so professional.
We're so live.
All the time. There we go.
Live.
I'm going to briefly touch on, finish up my conversation on Carmine. Carmine was one of those rare individuals that never took a ruler and laid out your grids, did anything on the grid, all the perspectives were off, and yet it worked. It was all just eyeballed, right? And so when I first started inking him, I called up my mentor at the time, John Nygaard, who had inked Carmine many times, and I was almost in tears. I'm like, no, I can't fix this whole issue. He goes, don't even try, just ink what's there. He says, you're not going to be able to fix his lines. His perspectives are just eyeballed in. Nothing's going to match up. Just ink what's there. And I did. And the thing is, it totally worked.
It does work. Yeah. Some of us have done perspective so long that we just eyeball it. I know, Aaron, I know you can tell, but
I know.
I eyeball my perspectives now, unless it's an extremely specific shot where it has to be correct. I will eyeball my cityscapes, and I really do want almost that fantasy look of fisheye lens, where sometimes the buildings might curve, as they go up. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And a lot of times that works to establish the mood that I'm looking for. In this particular case, it's a perfect example. Scott, if you'll bounce back and forth between
I can do that.
This page 5 pencils and the page 5, the ones I just sent you.
Oh, you sent more. All right.
Yeah, with the Ninja Girls. This is one of my favorite pages.
Ninja.
Yes, indeed. All that's eyeballed. I mean, every bit of it. There's no vanishing points on that house. I mean, I had a picture of a house in New Orleans on my board, and everything's just eyeballed. I was like, this is just going to be what it is. So it's disguised with Spanish moss and tree limbs. And basically, I'm hoping people are looking at the cool Ninja Girls, instead of the perspective. If they're paying too much attention to the perspective, then the Ninja Girls are not
Something's wrong.
So
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I don't rule out my perspectives either, and I actually don't want to. When you look at reality, everything is a little askew. It annoys me when I see people rule out, especially 1 point perspective, when they draw it to an actual point. And I'm like, don't draw 1 point perspective to an actual point. Break the point with like a building or a car. But I've seen people do that, and it's just too focused. It's just too. It's like you can tell it's ruled. So I will bend wood, bend lines, make it look organic. I do that all the time, and I think it just looks more natural and not ruled out. Yeah.
Fruit Bat says fisheye master Scott McDaniel on Nightwing. Yes, he is. Tommy says Stephen Butler eyeball stuff and says, quote, just fix it, Tommy. I'm gonna start doing that, Tommy. I'm gonna start throwing that out. Just fix it, man. But I knew that handing off my work to Barb was not going to be a problem. It's always nice. I can speak to this for pencilers in general. When you find what I call a second nature inker, Barb is one of those. Tommy is one of those where they just get it. They get your work, and they know how to enhance without destroying. And it's a wonderful thing. Now on this page, Bart, how did you ink this? Did you ink just go in and fill in the darks first and then start, or do you remember?
Oh no, I never. I always fill in the blacks last. Actually, that's hubby's job.
Okay.
I'm one of those who outlines all the blacks and puts little X's in them and then hands them off to my lovely assistant, who is my husband, and he fills in the blacks for me. And he's really good at it because he's just as anal, and he goes over them twice.
Awesome.
Yeah, he goes over. So they're super black. I don't know why, I've always had a pet peeve about half grayed out blacks. So
that's right. Barbara's blacks are so black they bend light. That's right.
They bend light.
They have their own gravity.
They have their own gravity.
Pretty much.
That's right.
What is that ink that is like the blackest black they have now? It just makes it look like a hole in the paper.
Didn't the guy who made it try to trademark or copyright it or whatever?
Yeah.
And then somebody made the pinkest pink.
Yes. Yes, and then some. And then somebody else did a black is black again and made it free.
Right.
And I saw somebody took an apple the other day and painted half of it.
Oh, I saw that.
With the blackest black, and then let it dry, and then turns it to the cameras, and it's just basically a black hole. You know,
wow.
It doesn't have any contours or anything.
Tommy says, going back to brushes, I think both Procreate and Clip Studio now import Photoshop brushes. So there's tons of great free brushes out.
I've got a question.
Yes.
I've got a question.
Yes.
This involves
Yes.
Rob. Rob, if you're still there.
I am.
And Barb. In the maritime world, we have GPS. So we have GPS and we have all this beautiful technology to guide ships. Ships can drive themselves. But very often, mariners are still required to use paper charts and to plot with what, Rory? What's the twisty, the and the things and the sliders?
The compass.
Compasses and the sliders. Yeah, with pencils.
Slide rules.
Yes. So that is because yes, well, that's a brand. They want the basic skill to be understood before using the technology, and that the truest
if it
would
ever
call
gets knocked out, you can still
would call
navigate by the stars.
Crusty old salty people would say a crutch, but there are merits. There are merits to the technology, of course. I mean, you can do so much more. Now, Rob, Barb, would you recommend for a young person jumping in
whippersnapper?
Yes, a wet behind the ears greenhorn to learn ye old by hand analog arting. And it can be inking, it can be coloring, it can be penciling. Would you recommend them doing that before they jump to digital?
I think.
Does it do anything for them?
Well, I think it gives them a greater appreciation for the art. I mean, they certainly don't have to, but if you really want to understand the process from beginning to end and how it's done, it would certainly benefit you to do it physically before you jump into it digitally. I think digitally, there's a lot of cheats.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and I'm loving the cheats. Don't get me wrong, because it speeds me up and they're fun as hell. But it's like, oh, there's a tree, there's a bush, ding, 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 and I'm loving it. But now Dean should recognize that one.
Yeah.
But I also know how to do it manually myself. So I'm not using a cheat. I can actually draw a tree if I have to or want to.
I feel
and
like
that's a matter of pride to me.
I feel like learning now this is just me, and I mean, in most things you learn the fundamentals, the basics,
right,
before you go on to all the extras. Learn the rules before you can break the rules.
That's correct, and that's one of the things that this is one of my favorite pieces, because it's got so many just flowing, beautiful brush strokes to it. This was all done in brush. And it was just,
that's really
cool.
Just
gorgeous.
That's good.
Going back to the breaking the rules things, when I have people approach me at conventions, Gojira.
Gojira.
That was fun because, again, it's organic and I can just
do what you want there.
Just go nuts. Just go nuts.
That's Dark Horse. People come up to me all the time at conventions and say, how do I become an inker? There is an added benefit. Well, that's what I'm saying. And I said, filling in the blacks is so easy digitally and super 100% black. True.
Super.
Yep, it is.
Up the contrast.
I tell people.
Triple the contrast.
I tell people that if they're going to learn to draw comics, don't learn to draw from comics.
Right.
You have to learn to draw from real life before you can break the rules and caricaturize them in comics, because nobody ever looks like, Steve Rogers in real life.
Whoa!
Except maybe,
Barb, we got Rory
Chris
right
Evans.
here, and you're
my feelings.
our own Steve Rogers.
and women don't actually have 12-inch waists.
What?
So before you learn to break the rules, you have to know the rules that you're breaking. So learn how to draw from real life. Look at real trees and real cars and real people, and then when you learn to do that, you can caricaturize them for comics. If you learn how to draw comics by studying other comics, you are going to look like a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox.
Mm-hmm.
A copy of a copy of a copy. Every iteration is going to look cheaper and sillier than the last, because you are caricaturizing a caricature.
Fruit Bat's got a good point there.
Yeah. One thing a digital program can't do very well is to allow happy accidents. Sometimes the happy accident is so good that it becomes a part of your repertoire.
It becomes a technique.
You mean that bottle of ink I spilled over the page was a happy accident?
Yes, Barb. Yes. Turn it into an ink monster like it killed Tasha Yar. Star Trek reference.
Yes.
All right.
Black goo.
Well, that's how Dean describes my art. He just doesn't use the word happy.
That's also another reason why.
One more page of happy accidents.
Yeah.
Yes. That's also one reason when I would get physical pages in the mail in the FedEx box, the first thing I would do is I would run out to Kinko's and make 11 by 17 copies, because about the first time I didn't is when the cat would knock over my ink bottle or my coffee cup.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look, Scott. Do you have those last two I sent you that are? There are a couple of images there. Let's go for the pencil. Okay, Barb does a fantastic job here with the expression on the character, on the demon character there in Cat and Mouse 2. It was just really cool to see her capture exactly the look I wanted, and the balance. She used just enough of the shadows around him and the coat and everything. Just, I love the job. I love the nice job.
I don't know. That clearly starts off with a pastrami on rye, and then I think it turns into salami on a wheat bread. I mean, Barb, you could have
sourdough
with provolone.
She just did a great job.
The provolone, Barb.
Clearly,
you really got up your game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was just fantastic.
It looks awesome.
And sometimes an inker really does become an embellisher. Right now, my current penciler on Divinity is struggling with working really, really long hours in real life, and is struggling to get his pages to me. And he said, "Is there some way that I can speed this up for both of us?" And I said, "I'll tell you what. Get the people in. That's my weak point. Is get the figures completely penciled in." And just kind of give me an outline on the background, and I'll take it from there. So
that's a good point. That's a good point.
That way,
breakdowns of a sort. Yeah.
Yes, he's going to type pencil the figures, because I don't want to lose his pencils. If I do the people, they're going to look like my people, not his people. But backgrounds are kind of ambiguous, So just give me a rough out of the backgrounds, and I will finish those off, and that will speed up the process. So. Sometimes you are an embellisher, and sometimes you are a finisher. So depends.
Sometimes too. This is a great. I'm sending you another one here, Scott. There are cases where, in this particular piece that I just sent, is more an iconic piece, not meant to be a realistic representation of an environment. It's symbolic, completely symbolic. And Barb did a tremendous job giving it dimension, maintaining the texture and the figures themselves. And it became this really iconic look for Cat and Mouse. So I think I may actually have a color piece for that too. Let's see. Yeah. Barb, was that like when you got that, you didn't really worry that I didn't really do any sort of lighting on that, other than on the cast iron fleur-de-lis there.
Yeah,
I
did some hatching on that I really liked the way that it came out.
I sent Scott also a colored version, so you can see like how the piece turns out. Yeah, so
that's cool.
You know, pencils to inks gives you an idea of how things develop, how important the inking stage is, because it just, if it's not a competent inker or someone with the skill set of Barb, it simply falls apart.
Yeah,
you know.
Dean, I'm glad you keep using my physique as an example in your art. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
How long was that photo session?
Right, with the model. We won't talk about the model.
Now bend over the waist a little bit.
Now turn.
Take your shirt back off. Take your shirt back off.
But the nice thing too is
I can't believe Dean's cheating on me.
You held together like the details of like the falling confetti and so on around them, and that didn't distract at all. You know, I was thinking, that's going to look like wallpaper, but it actually worked.
It's really cool.
It all came together.
It's really awesome.
Well, the thing about doing stuff like that is you have to make the lines fairly light for the stuff falling around them, because if you make it too heavy, then it's going to distract from the main focus.
Right.
Just the two guys, two people.
Yeah, the two people, indeed. When you first sit down, do you think like I'm going to use variants of line weight on the underside, or do you? I remember that. Yeah. That was fun.
That's my Divinity cover.
Oh yeah. Let me see if I can find the pencils to that one.
And folks that backed the project last year got Divinity on a trading card there. That clipped out of that, right, Barb?
Yeah, I had to clip it out of that. Actually, I actually had to crop some of those and shove them together a little bit to fit into the trading card and eliminate the helicopter altogether. It was I all manipulated it digitally to make it fit onto a trading card cover, really dimensions. Cool, that was kind of
welcome, Brent.
Oh, Brent,
good to see you. How are you?
I'm all right. How y'all?
We're doing great.
Oh, better now.
We're doing great. We're looking at all of Barb's cool inks and talking about what a great inker she is. Now she makes everybody's work look better. And
she's doing a great job.
Yeah,
definitely when you're inking, especially figures, you want to put a heavier line on the underside of arms or legs to signify gravity and weight and roundness. Or if you have a really strong light source coming from a certain direction, you want to thin out the lines in the direction that the light's hitting, and on the backside, you want your lines to be a lot thicker, because your shadow is falling away from the light.
So, speaking of thick lines, there's a style that I don't particularly like, and I don't know if there's a name for it or if it's just a style that just came up for a while, and if it's still a thing, is putting that real thick line around.
Powerpuff Girls.
Well, okay, yeah, that's a very cartoon style, but I see it in comic books as well when they tend a little more toward the accentuated features, you know, like where their lats and their delts and all that are real big, and their arms are gigantic. I always feel like there's always that thick line around them too. I don't like that.
Are you saying thick with two C's?
He is indeed.
I am saying, however you want to hear my spelling.
He's being very
works.
Very
specific. That works for me in only one situation, and that is if the page is extremely busy.
Yeah.
And you need to set the figures up front, and everything else needs to recede to the back. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to me. But if you really want to make them pop out from a terribly busy background, that works.
Put a thick line. Okay.
Another way to make that work, Scott, is if you'll share the pencils to that piece that I just sent you over. Barb did a tremendous job there with, you see the leg, the back leg on the male figure to your right?
Yes.
I will very often fade out with hatching and send portions of the figure back. And it takes a really good inker to not add overweight to that so that it works against my intention of pushing that back in space, right? And also, Barb's worked on my stuff enough to know that I like atmosphere to the piece, and I like, debris flying around, and obviously there, her hair is blowing here, so you get the idea that the chopper is stirring up a lot of
kicking
debris.
up some stuff. Yeah.
Get to the chopper now, so sorry.
If you want to live.
If you want to live. But
you want to live.
Hasta la vista, baby.
But no, I really like that, and the fact that you just roll with that. It's like if I just hatch off into an outline or a silhouette, you just go, okay, I'm just gonna throw that in and do it just like you drew it. That was a fun
weight of the
piece
line
to do.
is really important there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely
Yeah,
right.
well, I'll
Absolutely
be hitting you up for another one for number 3. So.
Oh yeah, awesome! I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Matt says something else regarding Scott's thick ink comment. It also depends on who does it. Some guys can do it where it is subtle, but with others, it's jarring. That is very correct.
If I had it within arm's reach, I've got a book on one of the how-tos of comic creation. It's not about specifically the art, and I can't. I don't see it. I'm looking at my bookshelves here, and I don't see it. And
there's a style,
almost an anime, a little of the
it's
anime.
A little
style.
anime.
Yeah.
There's a historical art movement that influenced that look, particularly in Adam Hughes's work in the early to mid '90s. He did a lot of really amazing pinup style covers for Wonder Woman and Catwoman, and he was inspired a lot by an illustrator named Alphonse Mucha, M-U-C-H-A.
I've got his prints in my dining room.
Yeah, who did a tremendous amount of work at the turn of the century from the 19th to the 20th, particularly at the World's Fair. And it was so much the rage of graphic design back then, because we were entering the period of the Brandywine illustrators and the Saturday Evening Post sort of magazine with illustrators being featured, and newspapers used illustrators more than photography, and so it was a golden age for that.
That's not quite the. I mean, you're talking like that Brandywine School style that I love.
Yeah,
right. If you look up Mucha, you'll see what I'm talking about.
It's a little different than. I mean,
Mucha
I love
also
that.
didn't like his work. He didn't like that work. He never wanted to be seen for that.
No,
style.
he didn't want to be a commercial artist. He hated it, but he needed to pay the bills.
He needed
so
to
he
pay
did,
the bills.
Coca-Cola and
sure.
work like that. But
I love that style. I love that.
The
style.
Art Nouveau.
It's Art Nouveau. Yeah, it's a beautiful style. It's very organic. It works wonderfully for specifically for the way Adam Hughes used it. Catwoman covers, Wonder Woman covers. It works very well for a female character, particularly. But I've seen him do it, with everyone. He did some sequential work way back when he was still doing sequential work, because now he just makes money doing, covers and splash stuff. But he did Gen 13, which is beautifully done sequentially. And even in his sequential pages, you could see that he was using that hierarchy of view where the characters that were supposed to be in the foreground had a heavier outline than the ones in the midground, and so on with the background, etc. Did a terrific job. With that.
That's I keep that in mind when I'm inking. Yeah, because it helps. It works as atmospheric perspective. It helps.
It does indeed. It does indeed. Now, Barb, what are some of your favorite brushes, both analog and digital? Because I know a lot of people are going to be wondering, like, well, I want to learn the old-fashioned way and then learn the new digital way. What are the best brushes for comic book style?
Old school. I used to use the Winsor Newton Series 7 size 2 brushes back in the 90s, but somewhere along the way, the quality really went down. I don't know what the heck
they're not any good anymore.
Yeah, they're not any good anymore. Now I use a Raphael 8404.
Probably because they banned
size 1 and 2.
Okay.
There was a band. They got the hair from a
The
sort of
sable,
mink.
yeah.
The mink
It was a sable. Yeah.
And it was an endangered species, and they banned it. And so I'd assume they probably just changed their formula, got the hair from somewhere else.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Fox or something like that. But it's I like the Raphaels now.
Yeah, it's not as good. No, it's not as springy, or it doesn't keep its shape.
No, it doesn't keep its shape. And it's really, really important to have that springy, pointy tip on the end.
Mm-hmm.
And
why doesn't somebody just farm them and give them a haircut every now and again?
Yeah.
Well, there's that. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, the energy it takes to go out and catch them and give them a haircut, that's a lot.
There's a new side job for you, Rory, right there. You're
Sable farmer. $1 million idea.
Sable farmer. What about the digital stuff, Barb? What kinds of inking digital brushes do you like?
I really like, it's called Super Smooth Inker.
Okay.
And if you're going to look for inking brushes digitally, actually look for brushes that says inking brushes. Instead of like Tech Pen or Monoline or Pencil. They do actually make brushes specifically for inking brushes. I like the RAM Comic Inker. I like the TGTS Super Smooth Inker. That's my favorite.
TGTS Super Smooth Inker. Okay.
Right. You can get a crow quill. And here is a really cool one. You can actually get 4 different brushes that are 4 different variations on the Kirby Crackle.
Oh.
Ooh.
Can you show us maybe something you're working on, just without screen sharing, just good old fashioned, hold it up to the camera. Maybe we can see what you're working on.
I sure can. Right now I am inking a Divinity page.
Nice. Yeah, we can see it. Yeah. You've been working on her hair. I can see. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, she's
very
taking
nice.
She's taking a time with the behind. I can tell.
Yeah.
Make sure those lines are smooth.
Yeah, smoothing it out. What about in the old-fashioned approach, Barb? What type of ink? I know that. Wow.
Ooh, yeah.
Look at the hair on that.
Oh, very nice technique on the hair. Love
and see, this is something I really like is that you can go up here to the eraser, and it gives you the same brushes that you use as an inker. So you can use the Super Smooth inking brush as an eraser and just erase right through your lines to have a negative space effect.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
It's like having, I don't know if you use this, Rob, but it's like having a pencil eraser that's actually, instead of lead in the pencil, it has an eraser.
My Wacom tablet does that. It actually has it. If you flip it over and use the other side, it acts as an eraser. And what it does is it takes whatever, like in Photoshop, you have your front, you have your color that's to the front and your color that's to the back. Like I usually work black to the front and then white to the back. So when you flip that pen over and use the eraser, ooh, that's nice.
Kirby.
Kirby dots. Oh, that is so cool.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sold.
I got to buy one of those. I'm sold on that.
But yeah, it works as an eraser. Yeah. What's the name of that again?
It says Kirby Crackle, Kirby Dots, Kirby Dark Matter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I mean, I think
it's pressure sensitive, so it changes the size and very nice.
And you can adjust the pressure of your stylus as well, and all of that. You can really nuance it. One last question for you, Barb, before we go tonight. If they want to start out in the traditional way, what's the best old-fashioned ink? I used to hear inkers argue this back and forth. Use this kind of ink,
Black Cat, and so I use Speedball now. I can get it the big jugs.
Black Magic.
Okay.
Yeah, Black Magic used There was Black Cat. There's Black Magic. There's Speedball, and Black Magic got watered down. Or was it Black
It did.
Cat?
It's not as black as it used to be. You have to put it on twice as heavy. Yeah.
Right.
Or scan it in and up the contrast is what I usually do.
So that's why I started using Speedball. Here's another.
Let's take a look.
That's why I started using Speedball.
Whoa.
Tree.
Yeah.
Oh, a tree. You just don't know. Scott, are you just losing it back there with doubling you in double entendre, doubling you? Whoa, I love it. Look at that.
It's funny.
You got a tree. Boom.
I've got a. That's beautiful.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got to interject that
I'm glad
Speedball
we're
is a
not on
drug.
camera.
Speedball is a type of
Just-
drug. So when you say it's when I started using
Yeah,
Speedball's
yeah.
a little bit of a combination of drugs.
yeah,
It is not just one. That is a combination.
Actually,
Yeah.
sorry,
As we
Laura.
go off-
man. Oh,
As we go off the rails here, Barb, we really do appreciate your time and patience, and with these yahoos over
What?
there, and showing us your work and sharing it with us. And we hope to see more of your inks. And I can't wait for you to ink another cover for Divinity.
Yeah.
of
One
mine.
of these
So I'm
days
looking
I'm going
forward
to
to it.
figure out how to actually share my stuff.
We'll do it. We'll figure it out. We'll solve that off camera.
Apple has
And,
not been too friendly about that.
I know Apple doesn't always speak well with non-proprietary devices.
Yeah.
I want to say that we like to close
well,
the same way every time, everybody.
We
But
need to
before we
plug
close,
in.
Scott
Put it back in the
seems
grid.
like he wants to say something.
Oh, I was going to say, Barb, are you going to be anywhere anytime soon at a convention where people can see you, can say hello, and
Mhm.
see your work in person?
Oh yeah, let me see.
Mhm,
Look at my
mhm.
calendar.
Because I'm
going
going to plug Three Rivers Comic Con again. Roland,
Please do.
Rory, and I will be there June 4th and 5th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Can't wait. And
Mhm.
I think we'll have some more Silverliners there, but we'll have a Silverline booth. Roland, this is
Mhm.
if Roland takes one more step, it'll be the farthest north he's ever been.
Wow.
All right.
And he'll get to see all the foliage.
all the
foliage.
beautiful
All the
foliage of
foliage.
Pittsburgh.
All the
Right.
foliage up there.
Foliage is
Uh,
a lot of
amazing.
foil.
On the,
Yep.
Yeah.
He's
On
going to
the
go
12th
nuclear over it.
on the
Yeah,
12th
it will.
of
It
June,
will indeed. What's that? I'm sorry, Barb.
Barb, where can
Call-
people come say hello to you?
on the 12th of June is a Sunday. I'm going to be in Wisconsin Dells for
Plug your
QuadCon.
address.
QuadCon.
Mhm.
All right.
And in July, on July 23rd on the July 23rd, I'm going to be at the Baymont Wyndham in Peoria
Okay.
for QuadCon Peoria. It's supposed to be a very big show.
All right.
Awesome.
Very
Illinois.
big show. Very big show.
Illinois.
Very nice. So you
Yeah.
guys check
Illinois.
out,
Illinois.
Illinois.
check out Illinois.
Near,
Check
is
out
that near,
Barb.
near Des Moines?
No,
Yes.
Near
that's
Des Moines.
Des Moines
Okay.
is in Iowa.
Okay.
That's
Mm.
north of Arkansas.
Iowa.
It is indeed.
Iowa. Thank you, Rob, for the reference.
And in
Before-
order to get
before
to Iowa from Wisconsin, you have to go through Dubuque.
Dubuque.
Yeah, yeah.
Dubuque. Wow. Well,
Dubuque,
before we go
Iowa.
nuclear, before we go completely nuclear, I'm going to say goodnight, and I'm going to say, we say, make mine.
Silverline.
Good night, everybody.
Hi, I'm Greg Horn. Make mine Silverline.